That smells good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yay! So this company, I know you really wanted to talk about. You actually asked to talk about it. So I want you to tell me about this company. So the company is Zoetis.
Okay.
So Zoetis, kind of give me a quick background on what Zoetis is. You have said it before, but quite frankly, I don't really know a whole lot about it.
Gotcha.
So why don't you kind of give me the scoop?
Okay, so the reason I like this company is because, first of all, I, in college, was an animal science major. So and Zoetis came up because Zoetis is actually basically the #1 company in the world when it comes to vaccinations of domestic animals.
Really?
Yeah, it actually is, yeah. So,
okay.
yeah, so they develop, manufacture, and, you know, commercialize all those vaccines that your dog gets all the time. That's what they do, and they do it really, really well. And so they've been around since like the 1950s too. They've been around for a long time. The thing is that they haven't been publicly traded until 2013.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. I was like, dang, they've been around for that long.
Yeah,
How have I not heard
I've told
about
you
this
about
company?
it before, and it's like you always see the chart and it's really young, but like that. So that's what it's. So they were, you know.
Yeah, because you
founded
look at
a long
the
time ago.
chart. You look at the chart. It's just, I mean, it's just a line, just
Yeah,
going
that's
up.
a good one. And that's also why I really like it, because if you just look at the 5-year chart, that thing's banging.
I mean, if you look at the general trend for the last 5 years, like it's insane.
money. It's
And
money.
it does pay a dividend too. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that's you told me
It's a
that.
really small
It's like
one.
what, like a 0.5%?
I
or
want to
something
say
like
it's
that?
no more than 1%. I mean, it's better than nothing. If you
I
ever
love that
needed
one.
it, like kind of like Warren Buffett's like punch cards, like it's like you have
Yeah, if you
20
want-
companies.
yes.
Like this would be
This
like
is
at
a
least
really
like, for-
good one.
I mean, I mean, you know, full disclosure, I have shares of Zoetis as well.
Yeah.
Just from your recommendation, and I mean, it is definitely not one of those. It's gonna go to the moon like that.
What did you do? What did you do?
No,
But-
not at all.
I just kind of dollar cost average and pick up a couple
Yeah.
shares here and there, like because it's not a cheap stock by any means. 'Cause
No,
I
it's
think
163. I think.
Yeah,
at this point.
160,
And it's been
170, and it's-
fluctuating in between that time.
Yeah, it's been kind of floating in that price range. I will pick up a share here and there. It's not like it's one of those things where I'm like actively watching it because it doesn't really fluctuate that much. So it's like Zoetis, like the Pfizer of animals.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So actually, you know what? I take that back. Zoetis is like the younger version of Merck, and Merck.
Oh, okay.
Merck is the Pfizer of
Okay.
animals.
Okay.
But Merck does both human and animals.
See, I did not know that
Zoetis
either.
is just animals. They're just
Okay.
domestic animals.
Okay.
Largest producer of medicine vaccination for pets and livestock. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So they do
Interesting.
all that stuff. And but speaking of Pfizer, it is actually a Pfizer spinoff. Yeah.
So it's a sub.
It's like a
it's-
sub-
It's a subsidiary of Pfizer.
Yeah,
or
it's like a spinoff.
What's
so,
what's
let
a
me just
spinoff?
read it. It's
Wait,
like with
what's a spinoff?
Pfizer's spinoff of its 83% interest of the firm, it is now a completely independent company. The company directly markets the products in approximately 45 countries and sells the products in about 100 countries.
Wow.
Outside of the U.S., accounts for 50% of its revenue.
Wow.
So it's like
I did not know
completely
that.
international, integrated, and everything. Like Zoetis is everywhere. So
Wow.
and so they had like in 2017, $5.3 billion in revenue, which is
Jesus.
obviously pretty good. And then
That's just from last year alone.
It's 2017, but I'm assuming it's up because the stock is up, and this isn't exactly a growth stock, like or a
$5
value.
billion.
Yeah, seriously.
Why make trillions when we could make billions?
This is like your typical pharma company when you hear about it, and it's just
That-
you know,
that is.
you have no idea what it is, and you've never heard of it before. But then you look at the revenue, and it's
you're
like,
like, what?
okay.
Oh my damn, oh my goodness, they're going ham.
Kind of last little bit. It's
Yeah.
like one tweet will not make or break this stock, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like one tweet will not ruin this stock.
That's facts,
It's
though.
gonna keep chugging,
Yeah.
because it's not in the news that frequently. But if it does get into the news, it's only gonna help.
It would probably that
it'll-
one day it would
gets
probably
pumped 'cause
go
something
down
comes
about
out.
5%, but even then,
in the grand
it really
scheme,
wouldn't
yeah,
do anything.
no, in the grand scheme, like if
Like-
you're long-term buy and hold with this company, no, I think you'll be
it's
fine.
not gonna.
All right, well, one bottle down.
What's the score? I can't tell anymore.
In the news, a couple months ago, obviously, but the whole thing with like Tesla and Apple, stock split, and it was a whole big thing. But like people were clearly not understanding how a stock split works, and they thought
Especially
they were
with
going
Tesla.
and they thought they were getting their bang for their buck because of a 5-to-1 stock split. So like the question I'm going to ask you this is, why do companies split their stocks?
Okay.
I mean, because
there's only two reasons.
Yeah, go
There's
ahead.
only two reasons why they split it. And okay, number one, it's
not Scotch, but hey,
it's okay.
well, we got to go buy more.
We're American. It's okay.
America.
Okay.
So why do
stocks
companies
split?
Why do companies
The
stock
number
split?
one reason is to appeal to smaller investors, to retail investors, to people on Robinhood, people on Charles Schwab getting to the first time. They see this and they're like, okay, I don't really know what to invest in, and what do I do? And then having it at a smaller number makes it much more appealing, because usually first-time investors don't have as much money usually as people that have been investing for 20, 30, 40 years now.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason that people split. The second reason is because it increases the amount of shares that are actually within the company itself. And that's like going back to basics on how publicly traded companies work. You have a certain amount of shares, and then people buy and sell those amount of shares within the company itself, and you own that portion of that company. So you're increasing the amount of shares within the company. It really doesn't do anything, honestly.
I mean, to kind of backtrack a little bit. So, I mean, if I'm first getting into the market, I mean, if you look at, a Zoetis, for example, and you see it's at $160, $170, like you're gonna go for one share?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna put my money into that.
That's exactly why.
But then you look at like a Coca-Cola, that's
At
at
$40.
40,
And you're like,
40,
I know
45.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I know Coca-Cola, and it's basically been that price forever.
Forever, yeah, exactly.
And it's been pumping out those dividends for, I don't know how long it's been. Are they in the 50-year range at this point? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know they're aristocrat, but I don't know. It's been for decades. Let's put it that way.
Decades.
Yeah, they've been pumping it out for decades, and they just continue to split their stock.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it definitely makes it more attractive for someone first getting it. AT&T is another perfect example of that, because they're
Great example.
sitting at that
Great
$30
example.
range. Just think about it. For $30, that is 5 shares compared to 1 share of Zoetis.
Exactly.
So I mean, that is the trade-off.
That's
and
exactly why.
I mean, you're looking at between anywhere from like a 2.5% to 3% dividend yield to upwards of like 7.
See that, and that's just icing on the cake for like a normal investor, though.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's just like.
I mean,
icing on the cake.
you should never go like yield shopping.
Yeah.
I mean, that is never.
Unless you're like really getting into it.
I mean, I guess if that's what you're shooting for, but like I don't.
If you're really getting into it, then go ahead. But I would say
REITs are a great place to look.
No, that's a really good point. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So but that's like the main reason that people do it, is just because, and that's exactly why Apple and Tesla did that. That is the only reason.
Yeah, it's just to open up their market cap, right?
And the question I would pose to people is basically like, when you look at Tesla, when it first did the initial exponential growth of it, it was at $2,000.
Yeah, no one's gonna buy that.
Not many retail investors can.
Unless you're on Robinhood, you can do like a 0.00
That's different.
whatever
Yes,
fraction
and that's
share.
exactly why they started doing that. Was
Yeah.
because that it allows
everybody can get
people-
some skin in the game.
Exactly, especially on their favorite companies.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a big deal for them to do that.
Which actually Charles Schwab does that now too. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they have to
They
catch
have
up.
their stock slices. Their only caveat is it has to be in the S&P, which for Tesla again, that's huge, because before nobody was able to buy. Like if you had Charles Schwab and you were trading on Charles Schwab, you had to buy a whole share because it wasn't in the S&P until last month.
Yep.
And now you can buy stock slices of it to where you can, and then it kind of opens up the doors to more retail investors.
Exactly. That's the exact same reason. Exact same reason is basically like split of a stock or splitting your own stock. You're basically just making it more marketable to the people that more than likely will be buying your stock.
Because even right now, I mean, Tesla is what did it close at today? Like 830, 840?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it's over $800 a share. It's like, it's not like somebody has $800. Your average retail investor doesn't just have $800 like, oh, what am I going to buy today? Oh, let's just go and just
like throw
jump into
$800.
Tesla again,
Yeah, exactly.
That is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
You're absolutely
versus
right, though.
$30 for AT&T. Like,
Boom.
again, you take $800. If somebody had $800 to spend,
Yeah.
and they wanted to invest it, I mean, if you're doing it simply to buy and hold, I mean, a dividend investor versus looking for growth. I mean, again, that's a whole nother topic to, to discuss really. But like, if you're talking about the average casual investor, 27 27, 28 shares of AT&T compared to 1 share of Tesla. I mean,
Exactly.
and you're getting the annual dividends.
Recurring.
Assuming AT&T doesn't, blow up.
Yeah,
like you're going to be getting dividends
from
from
AT&T.
AT&T.
AT&T's not going anywhere for a long, long, long
Well,
time.
and that's the crazy thing. Like AT&T, do you realize how much AT&T has? Like, it's not just a phone company.
No,
It's like saying
it's like Sony. It's like saying
yeah.
all they do is they own PS4.
Sony, it's like Disney. People say like,
good
oh,
point.
Disney,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Mickey Mouse. No,
No,
like,
no,
have
no,
you ever
no,
seen
no,
the
no.
picture of what Disney owns? You ever seen that picture online? So it's a picture, and it's kind of cute. They put it in Mickey Mouse's face.
Oh,
So it's Mickey Mouse,
nice.
the cartoon, like just the black circles, and it shows every single thing that Disney owns.
wow.
And
that's gotta
it's
be
actually
enormous.
quite insane.
That's
Like
gotta
if you
be
look at,
enormous.
yeah, and most people, if you ask them what does Disney own, oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
You ask like what does Disney own, and it's absurd.
Yeah.
Like they own construction companies.
Yeah.
But then you think about it, like that makes
But
sense.
that allows them for Disneyland and
Yeah,
Disney World
exactly.
and
It's
all
just
of
like
their
it
sets.
takes
and
out the
everything.
middleman.
Yeah, exactly. And that's,
But
by
that's-
the way, for people that don't know what that's called vertical integration. To try and sound smart, but that you'll hear that word all the
Yeah.
time. That's why I want you, that's
It's,
why I want
it's
to
a
say
fancy word for taking more control of everything. It's like
Peloton does the same
Yeah,
thing.
I was gonna say a perfect example of that is in the recent news. Peloton just bought a company called Precor, which Precor works in building the exercise equipment. So Peloton just bought that company, and by doing so, now they have control of not only distributing their treadmills and bikes and whatever that comes with the Peloton app and whatnot, but now they actually have control of the actual physical making of their treadmills and bikes, which is for them like that helps.
Super helpful.
Yeah, super helpful.
Ridiculously
and
helpful.
yeah, so that concept is just called vertical integration. It's basically just meaning that everything is within their company. That's all
Tesla
it is.
did that a long time ago, and it helped them tremendously. So Tesla did that for basically everything but owning U.S. steel. So that's the only thing that
Yeah.
they can't really own. I mean, well, I guess it could, but they probably could.
You put the makers into grams, I just realized, or grants. It's not very good.
What's the score? I can't tell anymore.
So we're gonna call this like a drink and a half.
Oh, I didn't realize that was grants in there. That's,
yeah, I didn't
oh.
realize it too. So we're already at that stage.
What's the score? I can't tell anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna power through
Number
this.
one rule of whiskey drinking: never mix bourbon and Scotch. No. Irish whiskey, Scotch. No. Bourbon and Irish. No.
Yeah, this is
Always
tough.
keep Scotch and Scotch and bourbon with bourbon.
But did you know this? Did you know Europeans hate ice like that? Like putting ice into a drink is an American
Well, I
thing.
know it's about. I know beer for them is always warm.
Yes, yeah, but
I
like,
didn't know it was
but
everything.
like liquor, like, I
Really?
mean, obviously Europeans like cold drink. Like if they want a cold drink, their glass or whatever will be cold, or the drink
But
will
no
be
ice,
cold.
though. No water.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe they put water in it, but not like a physical ice cube.
Well, that's so. Going off of that, so like when I was super getting into whiskey like a year ago, I learned that there's two ways of actually like doing the, when you're first tasting whiskey to take away that super harsh alcohol taste. You can either do one of two things. You can add 2 ice cubes, or you can actually have a little glass of water next to you and just
Oh,
pour
and
it
pour
in,
it in.
so it doesn't affect the cold, because cold actually. So, random sidebar. Cold actually. No, it's
I
actually
mean, it is
helpful.
Scotch and stock.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's true. So
Well,
with
yeah.
Scotch, with your Scotch, or any alcohol, when you make it colder, you actually reduce the amount of flavor that you're tasting. So that's why when people I don't know what that is. A murder? Alfred Hitchcock. Okay. Anyways. That's why the #1 beer company in the world says cold as the Rocky Mountains, because it lessens the flavor of their piss water. So that's yeah. So
What were we talking about earlier?
oh my god, that was a sidebar. All right,
I don't know.
I think we gotta clink off that.
I don't know.
We gotta
Well,
clink off
hey,
that.
stock splits are cool.
bitches.